Hello and welcome to TradeWithoutEmotion.com. My name is Michael and we're going to take a look at ABK today for November 11th, 2008, which is Veterans Day. So we've got a lot of interesting things going on with this stock, so let's quickly take a look at the 6-month chart first. Here we have our hammer candle, and as you can see this has happened several times in the past. What a hammer candle is indicative of is a bottom. And as you can see with this stock, it's proven true numerous times. As you can see, we have one here, 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 and here. And this is only a 6-month chart. They're pretty plentiful on this chart. Now granted, that doesn't mean that this stock's going to turn around and take off tomorrow. However, it is indicative of a bottom, and that hence is the name because it's hammering out a bottom. This is an excellent formation because what it indicates is that the bears were trying to push this stock down, and as they successfully did to $1.36 today, but the bulls were able to step back in and push this thing back up for a close of $1.51. And I'd also like to point out that we've had relatively light volume. So let's move on and let's look at a 3-month daily chart and get a closer look of what's going on here. Okay, here we have a 3-month chart of ABK with each daily period represented by one candlestick. A couple of important things I want to point out is that, as I said earlier, we had a hammer candle, so that's indicative of a bottom. But one of the more bullish aspects of this chart that I see is the symmetrical triangle that we're currently forming. As you can see right here, we take plot point 119 and connect it with $1.36, which occurred today as our low. And then our next plot points, we take it 429, drag it to 392 and 356, and what we have here is a nice little symmetrical triangle forming. So the outlook for this triangle is that we're looking for a break to the upside, to the farthest to the left of the apex of the triangle as possible. So I would say on our next swing up, this is the point that we're looking for our breakout. I do hold shares in this stock. I've been picking them up at a bottom. Basically, you can see it's been channeling very nice right here, bouncing up and down off these trend lines. And I'm looking for, on our next break, on our next direction to the top here, I'm looking for a break of this symmetrical triangle, and then hopefully we'll get an explosion back up to $10. As you can see, the volume's been relatively light, which is very important when you're forming the triangle itself. We've got a lot of good things going on, so let's take a look down at some of these indicators. As I said, the volume remains pretty light. Let's take a look at the MACD and the full stochastic. Pretty much we've still remain under zero, and we've got a negative crossover on the MACD. However, with the full stochastic, we're looking really good. We're looking, it's coming off the bottom and it's crossed over. The signal line has crossed over and we're returning to the top, so I'm quite bullish in this situation. Moving on up to our RSI 2, 5, and 14, we've got very oversold conditions. Another reason that I think we bounced off the upper trend line today, and we're looking to move this thing back up to the top. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you'd like, take a look at some of our other videos. We do lots of training on all types of technical analysis, and hopefully you'll find something that fits your needs. Anyhow, thanks for listening, and trade without emotion.